Hello and a pleasant morning to you. It's 360 Sports on Trusted Television, where we talk about sports events going around right now. And the list of them, of course, we'll get to talk about them today on 360 Sports on Trust Television. My name is Martia Umar. I'm being joined by my sport analyst this morning. Sulaiman Shoaib is here in the studio. Good morning to you.
Thank you. It's always a pleasure being here, and I can't wait to get into everything. Football, boxing, there are so many things happening in the world of sport now.
Exactly. There's so many things, the World Cup seems to be what a lot of people are talking about right now. But aside the World Cup, there are other leagues going on. The Women's League is there, and of course, boxing is what a lot of people are looking forward to. That match is happening today, and we'll see the likes of Tyson Fury in about with Derek Chisora. So right now, they are hitting the sales for WBC heavyweight title fights. And according to Tyson, he says, you have to expect war. I'm ready for war. So he's weighed heavier than Derek Chisora for Saturday's WBC heavyweight title fight. And of course, the video that have been circulating actually show how prepared these two men are for this bout. Now, getting into this, we have a WBC holder of this, and then Chisora, of course, he weighs higher than Chisora, and that, of course, is something that you should be looking into when you're going into a bout with your opponent. What would you say to this match? What do you expect at the end of this bout?
And well, at the end of the day, the fact that there is an indifference in the way they weigh, there's a discrepancy there, is definitely going to be a problem. But I'm looking at this fight, and I'm going to say this is probably the most pointless trilogy I've ever seen in my life. Because if we're going to be realistic and truthful with ourselves, we've seen Tyson Fury school him in the first match. We saw Tyson Fury absolutely dismantle him in the second fight. So my expectation for this fight is that this is the most foregone conclusion of a boxing match I've ever seen in my life. The fact of the matter is this: we know that Tyson Fury wants to fight somebody. He has a match with Usyk by March. He needs somebody to warm himself up. I've never seen a more one-sided boxing match in my life, probably. Because if you are looking at it, I can remember the match that Tyson Fury had with Dillian Whyte, and you could see already from the press conference that Dillian Whyte looked defeated. He looked like he was broken. And this is the same thing I'm looking at it. I'm going to watch that match, but I already know in my head, I already have this prejudice about the match, that Tyson Fury will probably end up dismantling David Chisora. Because if you look at it, at the end of the day, we all know the fight we all wanted was Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury. And that was the spectacle, this thing that was being sold to the British media and every single member of the boxing world, that this fight was going to happen, and we were prepared for it. But looking at it from Anthony Joshua's perspective, he knew that the probability or the likelihood of him winning was very minuscule, and that is why he decided to turn down the fight, which is a wise move, looking at it from a Nigerian perspective, saying Anthony Joshua is my Nigerian brother. But the prospect of this fight would have been better if we hadn't seen them fought twice before in the past. But we've seen them fought twice before in the past, and we've seen that Tyson Fury is just by far the superior boxer. So looking at this fight, I believe that it's going to be an easy win for Tyson Fury. We all know what we want is Usyk and Tyson Fury, and that's going to happen March next year.
So do you think that, this is just a walk in the park for Tyson Fury? What other boxer would you have want him to warm himself with before his own bout?
But that's the problem. He's beating everybody.
That's the problem.
Tyson Fury has beaten everybody. So David Chisora, there's this thing in the boxing world that the prospect of a trilogy is always intriguing. It's always something you want to see. But a trilogy makes sense when you've had two fights in the past and you've probably drawn one or split decision, and the other one was by a knockout. Then you give the other fighter a chance to redeem himself. But at this point that we've seen him dismantle, give him a boxing lesson in two previous fights, then what exactly are we looking forward to? But I don't blame Tyson Fury. At the end of the day, you look at the PPG. That's the pay-per-view, PPV, sorry. It's close to £27. So at the end of the day, this is just a pension fund for Tyson Fury and a pension fund for Chisora. They're just looking to make as much money as possible from it. We understand the fact that they are both at the twilight of their career. They'll be putting down the curtains on their career real soon. So you make as much money as you can from this fight and you get yourself prepared for the Usyk fight, since the Anthony Joshua fight will probably never happen.
Okay, Anthony Joshua has been giving us some kind of hint about his fight, and at some point, his marketer Eddie Hearn will come out and give a press conference that, we're going into a bout with so and so boxer. At the end of the day, it never happens. Do you think that is a disadvantage for Anthony Joshua when he eventually wants to come out for a bout?
The thing is that one thing you need to understand is that when we look at Anthony Joshua, this man is box office. It's unassailable. Anytime Anthony Joshua tries to get a fight, I think the only person that can compete with him in terms of how well he sells tickets, who sells tickets faster, it's probably Tyson Fury because of his antics. But this man is box office. Regardless of who this man chooses to fight, he's definitely going to make money. He's definitely going to make sales. And looking at his market at Eddie Hearn, we've seen Eddie Hearn over the past. We know the kind of person Eddie Hearn is. Eddie Hearn is very, very focused on the money. And we know that this guy is going to sell fights. That's just the fact of the matter. I can't take that away from him. What he has done in the past, pertaining how he has handled things in the most quintessential fashion, you understand that this guy is going to sell tickets. Pay-per-view is not a problem for him. So regardless of who he chooses to fight, my only problem with Anthony Joshua is that when we look back at his career, we're going to say the three main contenders in his division, that's the heavyweight division. You look at Tyson Fury, who is never fought. Look at Deontay Wilder, who is never fought. And look at Usyk, who has beat him twice. So we're going to look back at his career in the next 20 years and say, he couldn't beat Usyk because Usyk is a better boxer. I've seen it twice. It's evident that Usyk is the superior boxer. He couldn't fight Tyson Fury because of what we're going to say in the future is that because he was mortified of the presence of Tyson Fury, and he never fought Deontay Wilder. And I know Deontay Wilder wants that fight, but for some reason we're talking about contractual discrepancies, contractual differences. So I'm going to look at him and say, was it possible that he was scared? Because nobody's going to look at the paperwork at the end of the day. We're going to focus on the fact that he had his chance to fight Tyson Fury. He turned it down. He fought Usyk, he was beaten, and Deontay Wilder, who are probably, they are the big four of this generation, if we are being realistic with ourselves. And he didn't get to fight any of them. And we've seen Tyson Fury beat Deontay Wilder, and Tyson Fury is going to go up against Usyk. So that's just my concern for him. His legacy is going to be questionable at the end of the day. But when it comes to selling fights, whoever this guy chooses to fight is going to make as much money as possible because his box office is that simple.
All right, so we expect that bout to be interesting as possible. Chisora, it might be a surprise at the end of the day. Who knows? Tyson Fury might just get himself kicked today. But let's just keep our fingers crossed and see how that match turn out between Chisora and Tyson Fury. But away from boxing, a lot of people have been looking and keeping tab on what's going on in the World Cup. Of course, it's getting hotter. Teams are beginning to spring up for the knockout stages, and we have a lot of matches going down today. But one surprising match, a lot of people would say it's not surprising. It was a repeat of what happened in 2010. It was the match between Uruguay and Ghana. We saw a very, very, very hard attacking things happen yesterday when Ayew threw the ball, the chance to score a goal for Ghana yesterday. And of course, Portugal and South Korea have made it out of Group H, and it's yet another dramatic match day in the ongoing FIFA World Cup. But before we get into the conversation for today, the match between Ghana and Uruguay, and then Portugal, of course, South Korea. What was the take home for you?
First of all, I just want to say all due respect to Ghana, because they said that, look, we're not going to go down alone. Uruguay, you're going down with us. You scored us 2 goals, and we're going to make sure we do everything within our power to make sure you don't get a third. We know we're out of the competition, and you're definitely going down with us. But I was disappointed with Ghana. It was extremely embarrassing. It was lackluster. It was lethargic. You should come into that game saying, I have 3 points. I know that if I get under 3 points, I'm qualifying from this group with Portugal. They should have gone for the win. They were looking stale. They were looking like they were devoid of energy. They were looking like something was missing. I could not see them trying to penetrate the Uruguayan defense. It was just shocking for me. I could not believe what my eyes were seeing. And that penalty, that's the worst penalty I've seen in my life.
Wow.
Honestly, that penalty was horrendous. So you look at the game plan. They shouldn't be conceding 2 against Uruguay. Uruguay couldn't string 5 passes against South Korea. They were horrible against Portugal. Portugal were by far the better team. So I'm looking at that Ghanaian team and I'm saying that Uruguay are there for the taking. You should be utilizing your opportunities. You should be making use of your opportunities. They didn't create any chance, and this Kudus guy, honestly, this guy is extremely overrated. He gets the ball and he makes the worst decisions. I'm not going to come here and question his ability on the ball. I'm not going to come here and question how press resistant he is. We know he's an incredible talent, but his decision making is extremely questionable. There were times he got the ball, just lay the pass on. He was trying to dribble too many times. He lost the ball and he was throwing his hands in there. If I'm his teammate, I'm having problems with him. Because you're not going to come into this team and lose the ball and be indisciplined in possession and throw your hands in the air like you're superior to us as your teammates. That was just unacceptable for me. So I think in that throughout the match, I was just disappointed with Ghana because they should have gone on to win that game.
Now, getting into the penalty, a lot of Nigerians. I saw posts yesterday. I was keeping tabs. I was watching. Even the vicinity where I was, a lot of people held their heart in their hands. And you know, in spite of everything
Wait,
we've
do you
gone
think it
through,
was a penalty at first?
I thought it was.
Because I felt he dived. And could it be calmer? Okay, but.
Okay, so I felt like we're going to get that first goal. Now we're rooting with Ghana now because the African countries, irrespective of what they took us through in the national stadium here in Abuja, we still rooted for them. But, you know, Ayu came in, it felt like it was going to be a goal at some point. You know, getting into it, it was kind of a lackadaisical movement, and we all saw the unseriousness. And then, boom, it didn't find the back of the net. What would you say about that penalty yesterday? Because that sparked a lot of reactions.
The only thing you can say about the penalty is one word. It was shocking. It was a shocking penalty. I expected better from him. You look at that and look at the fact that that was childish defending. That was championship level defending. There was so much focus around Suarez, and they forgot that there was a player behind Suarez who Suarez could just lay the ball in and try to score a goal. Honestly, I was embarrassed for Ghana. They were so appalling to look at. It was shocking. The penalty was horrendous. The performance was horrendous. What exactly was the blueprint for that game for Ghana? Because I saw the ball. And do you know what Ghana reminded me of? They looked like a team that were just going in for a draw. Because when you want to win matches, you have to throw away caution. You have to be as energetic as possible. You have to run as much as possible. You have to try to create opportunities. They were just passing sideways. There was a rumor going on when I was watching with my brother that at some point Ghana are going to pass the ball forward. Because all I saw was them pass the ball side. They were absolutely embarrassing. Honestly, if I was a Ghanaian fan there, it was unbelievable how poor they were. Considering the fact that they needed a win to qualify, and they were that bad. Unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable.
I think it was, you know, having the mindset of we have to progress to the next stage, and then the pressure, you know, on this team. That's probably
what was the pressure? What was the pressure?
The pressure, African
The pressure was
team,
that they were playing against Uruguay, who were poor against South Korea, poor against Portugal.
You know, before the game, they said, oh, I hope what happened 12 years ago didn't repeat itself. You know, that brings a lot of pressure. You trying to overturn what has happened in the past.
Yeah, there are so many memes online talking about vengeance. And what's so ironic about this game is that everybody kept on saying Suarez is going to pay for what happened. Suarez is going to pay for what happened. And Suarez was significantly involved in the two goals. He was one that hit the shot for the first goal, and the player came in for the rebound, and he was one that got the assist for the second goal. So all this talk about Suarez, we're going to get vengeance on Suarez, Suarez must pay. He ended up making Ghana pay instead for every single thing they said about him. Unfortunately, he did not qualify, which is unfortunate for Suarez. We saw his tears at the end. I didn't derive any joy from his tears, considering everybody was talking about they loved the fact that he was crying and all. But I think Suarez put in a very good game. He was one of the best players on the pitch. But Ghana should hold their heads in shame. I don't feel bad for them, honestly. I feel the better team won. Ghana, Uruguay eventually did not progress, but to me, they were the better team by far. They were by far the better team.
Okay, the goal against Ghana, the first goal was the first ever goal they had with in the World Cup.
In the tournament, their first goal.
In the tournament. So it was, you know, a kind of relief for them that they're going home with their head held up high. Like, we scored a goal in. But, you know, Uruguay has been one of the best teams for every World Cup.
They've always had World Cup pedigree.
Yes, and it's so sad that they are out right now. Now, the match between Portugal and South Korea, were you expecting South Korea to pull out that stunt yesterday?
I knew that something could happen, and I felt that in me, that we're in for a shocker of this game.
Okay.
Because the thing is that if there's a position you want to be in a World Cup match, you want to be playing against a team that already has 6 points. Because you know that a team that already has 6 points will probably rest their best players, will go into the match considering the fact, or taking into account the fact that we've already qualified for the tournament. Let's try our best, or let's try as much as possible to prepare ourselves for the knockout stages, the round of 16. So that's a game every team should want to play. You want to be the team that desperately needs a win, playing against a team that has 6 points. And that was exactly the scenario that played out yesterday. South Korea desperately needed a win, and Portugal had 6 points, and they already knew, they were assured to an extent that they were going to top the group. So I wouldn't expect them to be as serious, as motivated, as determined to win the game as South Korea. You can't match the mentalities, because we understand the fact that one team has already qualified and one team is vying for qualification. So I understood that. So I always felt it. And I had a conversation with somebody the other day. I said that I feel an upset is coming, because all they need to do is win. And there was a huge possibility, there was a significant possibility that Uruguay were going to win Ghana. I said it before the game that I felt Uruguay were going to win Ghana. I did not see all the hype around Ghana. I knew that Ghana going into that game were a better team, but I just felt the mentality of the Uruguayans, and considering the fact that Valverde came to the competition yesterday, he had his best game yesterday, and this guy is one of the people that we talked about being in the conversation for one of the best footballers in the world, but he has been underwhelming so far in the tournament. He came to the party, Bentancur unfortunately got injured. But I said it that South Korea can pull an upset, and they did, and they were better than Portugal on the day. And you have to look at the fact that Portugal scored first, and they were able to get the equalizer and turn the game on its head.
Yes.
In the 93rd minute, I think, Son gave a fabulous assist. I think that pass he gave, he broke too close to 3 Portuguese players. So that was the defense splitting pass. So kudos to South Korea, I'm happy for them. The only problem is that they have to face Brazil now.
So you can imagine the scare they had when Son had injury before the World Cup. You can see that he's an integral part of the team.
He's their best player by far. By a milestone, he's their best player. Okay. And you know how important he is to that team. He's their best player.
Okay, so of course, it's getting heated in the World Cup. Lots of surprises and stunts and drama has been pulled so far. But the games for today. So let's take a look at the games for today, where we'll be seeing the Black Stars. Oh, not the Black Stars.
The Black Stars.
The Lions, the Lions, indomitable Lions of Cameroon, of course, will be playing on Sunday, not today. But we have games for today, 4 p.m. and 8 p.m. respectively. We have Netherlands and the United States of America will be playing, and Argentina versus Australia. They will be playing at 8 p.m. What's your expectations for this game?
So now I'm looking at the Netherlands versus USA game. The most integral factor in this game is what's going to happen on the left wing of USA. We know who's going to be playing the left wing. Pulisic has come out and said that he's fit, he's ready to go, he's willing to fight more than ever for this game. So he's going to be playing the left wing. And we know that Dumfries is the right wing back. Dumfries is going to try to attack as much as possible. And Pulisic might see that as an opportunity to capitalize on the space that Dumfries leaves behind. And one thing you don't want is that you don't want your left centre back or your right centre back going on a 1v1 against Christian Pulisic. We know how quick he is, we know how fast he is, we know the trickery he possesses.
Yes.
He's a very, very problematic figure for any defense. So now that space that they are going to leave behind, Dumfries leaves behind, that's what I'm looking at. So I think the coach needs to find a way to nullify that particular position. I think Wijnaldum would have done a fantastic job if he was in the competition, because from midfield we would have found ways to cover the space that Dumfries leaves behind, but they don't have that right now. So De Jong in midfield is going to be the facilitator for this game. Let's see how well he goes against the battle with McKennie. McKennie has not stepped up in this tournament as far as I'm concerned. He's been indolent, he hasn't run enough. I haven't seen that same fight and hunger that he shows for Juventus. And if you look at the Juventus team, they can't drop him. Today he plays center midfield, today he plays attacking midfield. Sometimes they use him as the right wing. Why? Because of his energy, how much he runs for the pitch.
He's a utility player.
He's an incredibly talented utility player. His versatility can never be put into question. So I'm going to look at that battle, McKennie versus De Jong. But I feel the most important aspect of this game is what happens on the left wing. Pulisic is by far, by a mile, the best player that USA have to offer. He's their most dangerous player. He's nightmarish. It's that simple. So how well is he going to do against the 3 defenders of Netherlands? We know the combination he has with Weah. Because we saw that he gave Weah the assist for their first game against, was it Iran? No, the first game.
Yeah, they played against Iran the first time.
Iran was the third game.
Iran was third game.
They played against England. They played against Wales. Yeah, they played against Wales.
England
we saw the
second,
assist.
yes.
We saw the assist against Wales. We saw how well he broke through the lines and gave away the assist. So they already have that combination. That chemistry is already there. So I think the determining factor for USA is how well Pulisic performs, and the determining factor for Netherlands is their ability to assert their dominance in this game, because I think they are a better team than USA. They should go into this game looking at themselves as favourites. But USA have the potential to pull an upset in this game. They need to be wary of Christian Pulisic. He's that dangerous.
Okay, what about the game between Argentina and Australia? We'll be seeing Lionel Messi in action today. And of course, Australia is not a team that you can say it's a walkover.
So now I'm looking at the game between Argentina and Poland. It was one of the most one-sided matches we've had so far in this World Cup.
Why do you say you think?
Argentina dominated and dismantled Poland. If you watch that game, you could see that Poland couldn't have a sniff of the ball. Every single time they touched the ball, they were hunted down like a pack of wolves. It was that difficult for Poland to hold the ball. I'm looking at that Polish team. Poland are an incredible team. So if you look at the way Argentina dismantled Poland, 2-0, trust me, the scoreline did not justify the performance of the game. Because that game looked like a game that was going to 4-0, 3-0. It did not justify the performance of the game. So I'm looking at that game and I'm saying, how is Australia going to fare against the dominance of Argentina? Messi looks like he's back on form. We're looking at Julian Alvarez. He's scoring goals for fun now. We're looking at Di Maria. He's playing really well. Rodrigo de Paul has finally come into the party. There have been so many complaints about him that he's not stepped up for Argentina. He's finally coming to the party. McAllister, looking incredible. So I'm looking at Argentina, I'm saying, what exactly is the answer to the Argentine team? Trust me, this Argentine team are going to go really far in this tournament because they look really good. Coming to this tournament, they had just won the Copa America. They had won the Finalissima.
Yes.
And I said that they were by far one of the favorites for this tournament. Against Saudi Arabia, they underperformed. They could not dominate Saudi Arabia enough. But going into the 2 games, against Mexico, they were incredible. Against Poland, they were absolutely astonishing. So I'm looking at this game and I'm saying, what exactly is the answer for Australia? I don't think Australia have any answers to how good the attacking lineup of Argentina is. So I think Argentina will probably win the game.
I think Australia has been able to find their way to the next round of the competition, but can they sustain it? And that's
I highly
the
doubt
question.
that. I highly doubt they can sustain
That's
it.
a question that, it's in a leaves and heart. But Suleiman has a different perception to the match that will be played today. 8 p.m. is the time. I will get to see all of the drama, all of the thrillers, the action in this match. Also, we have games for tomorrow. On Sunday, we have fixtures for tomorrow. We have the likes of France and Poland playing at 4 p.m. And then England and Senegal will be playing at 8 p.m. For a nation that calls football. I always have this disparity. When you're playing with the USA, you say, for a nation that calls football soccer. So, a lot of people have problems with calling football soccer. Maybe because we already call football in Nigeria. But looking at the game, let's start from England and Senegal. We have a black representation, African representation for tomorrow. Senegal, England. What do you expect?
So I feel I actually need to use hand gestures to explain how this game is going to go for Senegal. Now in football, there's something we call target player. So what the target player does is that immediately the target player gets the ball, it initiates the press from the opposition team. I'm looking at Senegal. Senegal, they need to stay compact against England because we know how well England are going to break and we know that England will probably dominate them in the midfield. So what Senegal needs to do in this game is that they need to identify who the target player is. I would presume that the target player will be Mason Mount because we know he's going to try to run through the lines. We know he's going to try to be creative when he's on the ball. So Mason Mount should be the player that whenever he touches the ball, that should initiate the press. Now, Americans are known for one thing in football, is that their flair. Europeans are known for one thing in football, is that their technicality. Africans are known for one thing in football, is that our aggressiveness. We have to exhibit it.
Oh, dominance. So, you can say dominance.
Yeah.
Oh, God, we're aggressive, but we can be dominant.
We can be very aggressive. So what I'm saying is that immediately Mason Mount gets the ball, he should be the target player. Immediately he gets the ball, we have to be strong, we have to be aggressive enough to try to nick the ball off him. Immediately you nick the ball off him, what does that do? That changes the transition of the ball. That kind of turnover will assist in creating chances for the opposing team. So what exactly you need to do is that immediately you get that turnover, you need to make sure that there's width on your team. So you need to tell your wingers, you need to instruct them and say that for every single time Mason Mount touches the ball, the wingers need to ascertain a level of width. Once you get that width, every single time you get the opportunity to nick the ball off Mason Mount, you spread it to your wingers. Once you spread that ball to your wingers, you have to make sure you have a fulcrum, a target man that stays in the box. Once that target man is in the box, you need to make sure your wingers cross it immediately. You should be looking at that defense and saying, Stones is there for the taking, Miguel is there for the taking. We need to cross this ball immediately. We know how well Miguel thrives in the air. We know how well Stones thrive in the air, but this is football. You have to gamble. You have to take your opportunities. So immediately you get that ball, you need to cross it immediately for the striker, for your focal point, which is the number 9, to try to get a goal. That's the only way I see Senegal winning this game.
So the Senegal didn't start this game on a very, very good foot, and so did England. It was, it looks like they were struggling in the first until the second match. We saw the energy, the attacking prowess that they had. Now, two teams that are trying to make a point. We have the likes of Harry Kane. England has been said to be one of the favorites for the 2022 World Cup in Qatar. And then
not for me, they are not favorites for me.
Some people would say, for a man like Harry Kane that has scored a lot of goals and no laurels to his name, sentiment is beginning to creep in at this point. You might want to say that, just do this for him, or Lionel Messi, who has not won the World Cup before. So it's a lot of pressure right now for Senegal, who has one of their key players missing in action. You know, a lot of people wanted to see Sadio Mane in the World Cup, but, you know, as a footballer, you do not have that advantage. When you have injury, you have to step aside. So do you think that that's going to play out? We're going to see like lots of struggles, making a statement of intent tonight? So
the worry with Senegal is, against Netherlands, they're really good. They thrived in the midfield. We saw that De Jong was having battles with Ghana in the midfield. But the thing is that temporary lapse of concentration, that was the problem against Netherlands. There was a particular period that it was just as if they lost belief, they lost control of the game. And I'm just looking at it and I'm saying that England are by far a superior team to Netherlands. I think they are better than Netherlands. And England are going to utilize on that opportunity. And I'm looking at this team, I'm saying this is a different England. This is not the England we've seen that have always underwhelmed or performed below expectations. This is an England that have a point to prove. And pertaining the Hurricane situation, now this is the concern. If I'm missing, from a Senegalese point of view, this is a concern. In the Euros 2020, Hurricane had an underwhelming performance in the group stage. But what happened in the knockout stages? He turned up. He was scoring volleys, he was scoring very, very good goals. He was scoring goals, he was creating opportunities. So that's my concern. Are we going to see a repeat of what happened in the Euros? Where, I wouldn't say he has been poor in the group stage, but it hasn't been the Hurricane that we know and love.
Yes.
Yeah, so are we going to see a Hurricane that is going to step up in the knockout stages and absolutely dismantle this Senegalese team? We know he has the talent. We know that Kalidou Koulibaly is no match for Hurricane. We know these things already.
Wow.
So that's the concern. What Hurricane are we going to see? If we see the Hurricane that we know and love, then I'm sorry, it might be over for Senegalese before they kick a ball. But if they are able to contain him, then they might have a fighting chance. I feel the battle is going to be won by whoever is the target player for England and how they can initiate the press. But it will be a very, very poor idea for Senegal to try and press England.
Do you think that the shot-stopping department for Senegal is kind of porous with Edouard Mendy, manning the post, if he eventually be the one on the post?
We'll definitely be the one on the post.
Because do you think he's overrated for that? Getting into it, most of these nations look at your club performance and would want to put you in the forefront, bringing a lot of pressure into it, not knowing that, experience can actually work on this. But we haven't seen really experience working for most matches in the World Cup, because people have complained that we have people who have experience, but they're old. We have very young players, pacey players, who have really done wonders in this World Cup.
So, the thing with Edouard Mendy, pertaining if he's overrated or not, it depends on how well you rate him. So now, Edouard Mendy was being nominated for Best Goalkeeper of the Year at FIFA the Best. He's not on that level. That's just the honest truth. Edouard Mendy, that's just the fact of the matter, whether anybody wants to listen to it or not. Edouard Mendy is not in the conversation for best goalkeepers on the planet. When we talk about best goalkeepers on the planet, we're talking about Alisson, we're talking about Manuel Neuer, we're talking about Ederson, we're talking about Joan Oblak. Mendy is not on that level. It's that simple. So if you think Mendy is on that level, then he's overrated. But if you think he's a level below them, then I think that's actually a genuine observation of his talent level. That's what I think. So I don't think he's overrated. It depends on where you rate him. And pertaining experience has not really played a part, because the young players have been the best. Musiala, he's out of the competition, but he was fantastic throughout. Yes. Pedri and Gavi have been scintillating. Bellingham has had one very good game. Foden has been all right. He hasn't been as spectacular, but he hasn't been given the opportunities that I would have expected going into this tournament. So Foden has been good. What other young players have we seen so far? De Jong has been incredible. Van Dijk hasn't really asserted himself in the back the way we expected. So the experienced players have not really stepped up to the party. And we just have to give a mention to Harry Maguire. He's been England's best player. We know the amount of criticism this guy is subjected to. And to be honest, I do not stand for it. I don't think Harry Maguire is as bad as people have made him out to be. I don't think he deserves all the scrutiny, all the criticism. Now, people can call me out on this, whether they like it or not. But the fact of the matter is that Harry Maguire is a defender that was bought for £80 million. And you do not buy absolute scrap for £80 million. That's that simple. Harry Maguire, there's a defender in there, and I believe that he should be given a chance to redeem himself. At club level, he's been given a chance at international level. And so many people criticize it. They said that Harry Maguire should not come into this tournament, Harry Maguire should not be starting. He's starting, and he has been the best defender for England. It's that simple.
Okay, so let's hope that, it turns out well for the best team. Of course, there's been a lot of talks about the games for the weekend. Remember, if you snooze, you lose in this part of the competition. Any mistake will not be tolerated. And that's for the World Cup. We'll anticipate and see what happens at the end of the matches that will be played at the weekend. But away from the World Cup, the Women's Super League is actually on the way. We have the likes of Chelsea women, Arsenal women, Leicester City women, the Ridens, all playing it out, doing what they know how to do best. And let's take a look at the fixtures, the results rather. Let's do the results for the Women's Super League for yesterday, and then we'll look at the fixtures for what we're to expect later in the day. But that will be after the break. Do stay with us. It's still the 360 Sports on Trust Television. We'll be right back.
That's great. That's good to see you.
Trust TV, documenting the Nigerian story.
Welcome back. Thank you for staying. It's still 360 Sports on Trusted Television. And of course, before the break, we looked at the World Cup and also the bout between, expected bout, so to speak, between Chisora and the Tyson Fury. Of course, it's happening today. Let's move away from all of this and let's talk about the women. Women's Super League is ongoing. We're seeing the likes of Chelsea women topping the league for some time now. Following suit is Arsenal, and then we have Leicester City at the bottom of the table. But their matches that will be going down today and tomorrow, the weekend matches. And let's take a look at the matches for today. Manchester United versus Aston Villa women will be playing. Arsenal women and Everton women will be playing. And then we have the last and the first. That's Leicester City at the bottom of the table, and Chelsea women topping the table will be locking horns later in the day. We have Sunday's fixtures as well. We have Reading women and Tottenham Tottenham women are locking horns tomorrow. Liverpool women and West Ham United will be playing as well. And Manchester City versus Brighton women will be playing. Now, let's take a look at the fixtures for today. What are you expecting? Manchester United, of course, will be playing for a Saturday. And then we have Leicester City and Chelsea. Chelsea has been topping the league for a very long time now, since the women league started. We saw Arsenal topping the league after they won a match, and that was because Chelsea had a match to play. Match in hand to play. So what do you expect today? Let's start from Leicester City and Chelsea women. They are the bottom of the table, and you know this confidence when you're getting into a match, playing the best of the best. There's this momentum that comes. Do you think that's what's going to happen for today?
For Leicester, right?
Yes.
No, that is the thing. Whenever there's a time when you are playing football and you are considered the underdog and playing against a favorite, your coach is going to tell you one thing. One thing your coach is going to tell you is that you are going to have chances. You have to utilize your chances. It always makes me go back to when Celtic played against Barca in 2012, where Celtic had 11% possession and Barca had 89% possession. But Celtic ended up winning the game 2-1. Because every small team, regardless of who you're playing, you are going to have opportunities. Now, if you take your opportunities, there's always a chance you can win the game, because there isn't any level of assurance that the opposing team will score you if you have your defense as solid and as fortified as it should be, or as the coach is going to tell you to. So the honest truth is that Leicester needs to go into this game saying that we need to fortify our back, one. And the second thing, number two, you need to make sure you're clean cut with your chances. It's that simple, but I think Chelsea will win the game.
All right, so the Manchester United and Aston Villa, not doing so well. Aston Villa is above Manchester United on the table. What do you expect?
I believe Manchester United, definitely. Red Devils. You don't play with the Red Devils. The Red Devils definitely win Aston Villa, but kudos to Aston Villa, what they are doing in table, what they are doing for the Women's League is absolutely fantastic. But I just feel that Manchester United will use opportunities to nick it at the end of the day. Probably 1-0 win. It's a 90-minute winner.
And Arsenal women has not been doing very bad in this competition for this season. And then we have Everton, of course, who's struggling to, stay on the league and maintain a particular spot on the league. Do you think Everton women would do better today?
Everton women, they've been inconsistent.
Yes.
They haven't performed to the level expected. And we know the Everton fan base. Everton have a very, very strong fan base. We know that they are football lovers, and they'll be expecting their team to ride on and go on and win the game. But their level of inconsistency this season has been absolutely shocking. So I just think Arsenal women will probably nick it in the bud and end up winning the game. Probably 2-1. I'll say 2-1. I believe that Everton women will score first, but because of how inconsistent they are, they might lead to some lackadaisical attitude from them, and Arsenal will end up in the game.
All right, let's take a look at the Sunday's fixtures. We have the likes of Manchester City will be playing Brighton women, Liverpool women, West Ham United, and then Reading playing Tottenham. What are your expectations for these matches?
Okay, let me just go through them quickly. So Tottenham women, Reading women. As I feel that Tottenham women win probably 2-1. I believe their dominance in midfield will be too strong for Reading women.
Reading is, down the table. After Leicester, from the bottom, I think it's Reading.
Yeah, Reading. I just feel that they will just be too strong in midfield for Reading. So I think 3-1 is a good prediction. West Ham United, Liverpool women. And there's a possibility that this might go either way. I'm conflicted on the scoreline for this because both teams look to an extent evenly balanced. Two very good teams, but have their lapses in defense occasionally. So I think I'll go with 2-2 for this score, because I feel the two teams are going to score, and I believe that it's going to be a goal fest for this game. And both teams, I just feel that their defenses aren't good enough to keep each other from scoring. And Man City women and Brighton women, I'm going with 3-0. I think Man City will end up winning the game.
We hope to see, the actions pan out very, very soon. Some of the matches will start early and some of them will be into the night. But whatever it is, I think you should just keep watching and enjoy all of the actions. But away from the Women's Super League, we have some transfer news. There have been possible predictions, there have been possible talks about particular players moving and some particular players retaining their spot in their particular club. or the recent club. Right now we have Joško. Joško has been tipped. Joško is widely considered one of the finest young men, defensive talents in Europe. Some people will say he's a warrior when it comes to defense, and he has been tipped. Despite linked with several clubs in the summer, Joško made the mature choice to develop with RB Leipzig. Currently, he's playing with RB Leipzig, but he has been tipped to move from RB Leipzig. Do you think that moving from RB Leipzig and getting to Manchester United will be, no, not Jao is going for Manchester United, for moving to Chelsea will be the right move for him?
So we'll have to look at it from the beginning. Let's look at it from the perspective of Chelsea's transfer business. Now we know that this is not the Roman Abramovich era. This is the Ted Boley consortium. And what exactly is strategy in the financial market, in the transfer market? So now you're looking at 80 million euros. That's what I'm looking at the figures for him. I'm going to be looking at Manchester United and say Manchester United just spent 80 million pounds on Miguel and it hasn't really worked out. But the justification for this is that we know the defenders they have. Rudiger left this season. We know Thiago Silva is aging. Thiago Silva is not going to keep on being the Rolls Royce in defense that he currently is now. We know they have Chalobah. We know Aspilicueta comes in and slips into defense occasionally for them. But they need somebody who is going to assure them of the next 10 years in defense. And I feel that's the justification for this. But I know that he has interest from La Liga. He has interest from German teams. And one thing that I need to look at that is really important is that players that have come from RB Leipzig to Chelsea have not really been successful. Timo Werner came, he wasn't successful, and he has gone back. So sometimes there are so many people that question the intensity of the German Bundesliga compared to the Premier League. How is he going to cope? He's a 20-year-old, he doesn't speak English. There are so many factors that come into play. I think he's a good defender. I think he's an incredible defender. The prospect of what he could potentially become is really scary. And I feel it's a good deal, but I just feel the price tag is too much. So getting an agreement on the price tag, 80 million euros. That 80, there's something cost on the figure of 80. When you get the player for 80 million, then there's a problem.
More.
Because they're going to be going for 80. What happened? Now you're trying to get another defender who's a centre back for 80. But the thing about him is that he's versatile. He could also play as a right back. So that could be something they need. Although they already have Reece James, who will probably assure you of the next 10 years as probably one of the best right backs on the planet. So I think it's a good deal for Chelsea, but I just feel the agreement on the fee is going to be is going to be the stumbling block. But we know that this is the Todd Boley consortium, not the Roman Abramovich era. If it was the Roman Abramovich era, they would probably go all in, 80 million euros, and get their guy. We knew how Roman Abramovich worked. He went to Manchester United. He got their CEO, the person that was handling their business. He tried to go to Liverpool to get Steven Gerrard. Back then, Steven Gerrard was regarded as one of the best midfielders in the world. He went to Arsenal. He got in Ashley Cole. He got Drogba. So what Roman Abramovich did is that at every cost, he would try as much as possible to get what he wants. Is Roman Abramovich and Ted Boley the same thing? Is it going to be the same transfer strategy? Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. But I know that whatever they are getting a very, very good young footballing prospect who has loads of potential. But the price tag is going to be the issue. Okay,
let's talk about one man who has been termed as the greatest of all time, though there's some kind of discrepancies and aberrations about all of his titles. I'm talking about Lionel Messi. Lionel Messi has been tipped that he will extend his stay with French champions after the World Cup. And the 7-time Ballon d'Or winner endured a difficult first season of adaptation in Paris Saint-Germain, having been forced to leave Barcelona in 2021 due to their financial problems. However, Messi has thrived under the tutelage of Christopher Garcia this term, following a fearsome start from having to play with his former teammates Neymar and the rest of that. Do you think staying with PSG and not moving his trade somewhere else is the best decision at this point?
So first of all, what I'm going to say about Lionel Messi, I think he's the best of all time, not the greatest of all time. There's a difference. A matter of your understanding of vocabulary. I think he's the best, not the greatest. But looking at this team is that, regardless of what people are going to try to tell you, the fact of the matter remains this. One of the reasons he went to PSG is because PSG were the only ones who could afford his wages. Now, who exactly in Europe can afford Lionel Messi's wages? That's just the honest truth. So many people are going to say there are so many offers for Lionel Messi, but that's a blatant lie. The fact of the matter and the thing that people are so very willing to dismiss is the fact that Lionel Messi is on close to 40 million euros. What team on this planet can afford that? Other than maybe in Chinese, other than maybe MLS, and you know how MLS works. What they'll do is that they'll give you part ownership of the club. They'll give you some shares of the club to compensate you for the salary that they won't be able to afford to give to you. That's how it works. It's that simple. So I'm looking at all the teams in Europe. Who exactly is going to break the bank for 40 million euros to bring somebody that will be 36 next year? It's just that simple. So people are going to try to tell you that everybody wants Lionel Messi. That is a blatant lie. So many teams, he does not fit in the philosophy of so many things. I'm not questioning this man's greatness. When it comes to greatness, he's the second greatest of all time behind Cristiano Ronaldo.
Oh,
but he's a better footballer than Ronaldo. I'm not saying he's not a better. He's by far a better footballer than Ronaldo, but he's the second greatest of all time. I don't have time
Ronaldo
to get into elaboration
that's kind of
this.
conflicting, actually. But go ahead.
So what I'm saying is that there are very, very few teams in the world of football that can afford his wages. So his only answer is to stay at PSG, renew with PSG. He can't go back to Barcelona. It's that simple. The only way he goes back to Barcelona is if he has a mildly significant drop in his earnings. That will be more than 50% slash of his earnings. I don't think Lionel Messi is willing to do that. We know he's at the twilight of his career. So the only answer for Lionel Messi right now is either he stays at PSG or he goes to the MLS. Because look at the European powerhouses. Bayern Munich are not going to get him. He doesn't fit in their philosophy. He's 36 years old. Manchester City are not going to get him based off what they are building. Forget what people are telling you that Guardiola wants him. That's a blatant lie. Guardiola, I don't think is interested in a 36-year-old Lionel Messi, regardless of how great he is, regardless of how well he's still performing at this age. Man City are not going to get him. You go through Real Madrid. Real Madrid are their rivals. They will not go on and get the greatest player Barcelona has ever produced. Look at Barcelona. Barcelona cannot afford him. So who else is available among the European superhouses? Manchester United, they are a club in progress. They are still building with Ten Hag. It's the Ten Hag story now. So they are probably not going to get him. So who exactly in the market can afford to give a 36-year-old 40 million euros? It's absurd. Nobody can afford to give him that. So his only option is to go to Inter Miami and probably get some shares and part ownership of the team, like what David Beckham did with LA Galaxy, or he goes to a Chinese team or a Saudi Arabian team, like what I'm hearing about Cristiano Ronaldo. Those are Lionel Messi's options. People will try to tell you that he has all the options on earth. That's a lie. He has limited options, and he knows it.
Okay, speaking about Cristiano Ronaldo, it has been hinted that Al Hilal wants to beat Saudi Arabia rivals Al Nassr to signing of Cristiano Ronaldo, who is 37 years old, after the Portugal's forward departure from Manchester United. Wow. Good move or bad one?
Logical move.
100 million euros.
Logical move in my perspective. It's not a matter of good news or bad news. It's just a logical move. Cristiano Ronaldo has come to the end of his career. As a Ronaldo fan, I do not want to admit it, but it's just realistic. He doesn't have the pace he used to have. He doesn't have the clinical finishing he used to have. He doesn't have the awareness he used to have. He can't read the game as well as he used to. That's just the honest truth about Cristiano Ronaldo. So it's the same thing Lionel Messi, limited options. Where exactly does he go? So he might just cash in at the end of his career and build his pension as much as possible. You go to this team, what I'm hearing is that they are offering him a 2.5-year contract. So that he has already terminated his contract with Manchester United.
Exactly.
So he can go there, finish the season, that's 6 months. He finishes the season with the club, then he plays 2 more years with the club, and just puts the curtains on his career. Whether anybody likes it or not, you can never put into question the greatness of Cristiano Ronaldo. We're talking about a young boy that came in from Madeira, went to Sporting, he blew the world open, he excited the whole footballing world when he played against Manchester United, went to Manchester United, became the best player in that team by far, went to Real Madrid, asserted his dominance, was by far the best player. So many people are going to try to tell you that he held Benzema back. He didn't tell Benzema, go to the chances and miss the chances. Benzema missed those chances on his own, so he did not hold anybody back. He didn't hold Rooney back. He didn't tell Rooney miss chances, or he didn't tell Rooney don't score as many goals. He was a winger, then Rooney was a striker. So many people are going to try to question this man. And what really hurts me, as not just a Ronaldo fan, but as a footballing fan, is that every single person comes out and says that, well, Messi deserves to win this World Cup just to cement his legacy. Messi has done this for the sport. He deserves to win the World Cup. Cristiano Ronaldo has put in equal effort, if not more effort, than Lionel Messi into this craft. We know how well this man works. We know how well this man has dedicated himself to the sport of football. So why is Lionel Messi now more deserving of the World Cup than Cristiano Ronaldo? For me, it's just unfair. And the fact that the world now wants to label him as this monstrosity just because he came out and did an interview, for me, is ridiculous. It's absolutely unfair. Give this man a chance to speak. There's something that people always say, that you make exceptions for exceptional players. And Cristiano Ronaldo is an exceptional player, so let's make exceptions. We shouldn't just scrutinize him, butcher him, and slaughter him on social media just because this man has come out to speak. He felt aggrieved by what the coach had done to him. The coach had disrespected him. He felt like he was being made a laughing stock on social media, and he has come out to air his opinion. Am I justifying what he did? No, I'm not. But I don't think he should be considered and categorized as this despicable human being, as this narcissist, as this monster that he's being labeled as on social media. I personally feel it's just unfair. We need to look back at the greatness of this man, what this man has done. This man has had a career spanning 2 decades, 5 World Cups. This man has scored in 5 World Cups. That's 20 years, and that was not when he started his career. He started his career in 2003. So let's put into question that what this man has done for the game, the contributions this man has put in the game, the most famous athlete on the planet, how iconic this man is, the motivation this man has given so many young talents in the game of football, what this man means to the game of football. I think he deserves some damn respect. It's that simple.
All right, the Messi fans will have, a lot to say about Messi as well. Just to go into the last transfer news for today, in Manchester United, of course, when a player goes, another replacement is being sought after. Joe Felix is that player Manchester United is sorting after right now. Manchester United face competition now from PSG and Bayern Munich for Joe Felix at Atletico Madrid. Joe Felix he's a wonderful player.
A polarizing figure.
A polarizing figure, just like you put it. Do you think that he can replace former Manchester United player, Cristiano Ronaldo?
The problem with Joao Felix is that Joao Felix is not on number 9. And I always get irritated when I have to have a conversation about Joao Felix, because so many people are going to tell you he's being chained at Atletico Madrid. He needs to be released of his shackles. Joao Felix has been given a multitude of opportunities at Atletico Madrid, and there are so many times he has not delivered. So sometimes I get really annoyed and frustrated when there's so much blame being pinned on Diego Simeone, when they are saying that he doesn't give Joao Felix a chance, he doesn't give Joao Felix opportunities. Coming to this season, Joao Felix started the first 5 games. So what other opportunities? But he did not deliver. He wasn't the man that... Joao Felix has been pinned as this guy who is going to be on an Mbappe level, on a Haaland level. I personally believe the only youngster more talented than him is Kylian Mbappe. That's just my own opinion of the player. But I just feel that he hasn't lived up to the billing. When it comes to talent, you can't question his talent, but his hard work, his attitude, his mentality towards the game are things that I personally would question every single time. So looking at Joao Felix now, honestly, I feel the PSG rumors are absolute gibberish, because I don't see how he fits into the PSG 11. We already have Messi, Neymar, and Mbappe. Forget it. No player on earth is walking into that 11. They are probably the 3 best players on the planet. It's that simple. You look at Bayern Munich. With Bayern Munich, there's a possibility there, because they do not have a number 9 now. I don't think they'll play him as a number 9, but you have the emergence, of Musiala. Are you going to try to hinder that and bring Joao Felix into the team, who wants to play as a wingman, as an attacker behind the striker? And already we're looking at their wingers. They have Leroy Sané, they have Coman, they have Sadio Mane. All these guys play on the wing. Is Joao Felix realistically going to start ahead of them? Now, at Manchester United, we need a striker. Joao Felix is not a striker. Rashford is in the form of his life. I can't remember the last time I saw Rashford this good. We know Joao Felix is not as effective on the right wing as he is on the left wing. So I don't think Joao Felix is going to come in and start on the left wing. We know how loved Rashford is by the British media. On the left wing, we just brought in Anthony, Sancho, and Elanga are fighting for that right wing. So I think what Manchester United need right now is a striker number 9. And there have been rumors that Cody Gakpo is coming in.
Yes.
So if Cody Gakpo comes in,
yet.
Now, it hasn't been confirmed. It's just
Yes.
speculation, rumors.
Yes.
So where exactly does Joao Felix fit in? I don't think he fits into the team.
It should not be where, lots of players being bought, and then at the end of the day, they're not giving you what you want, or they're just dominant.
And just for the sake of his career, I don't think Manchester United is the best move. I believe Joao Felix has the talent level to go on for the next 5 years and be in the Ballon d'Or conversation.
Okay.
But I don't think he achieves that at Manchester United.
All right. Thank you very much, Suleiman Shai, for being here. It's always a pleasure having you on.
It's always a pleasure being on 360 Sports.
All right, the conversation never ends when you talk about sports. You can go on and on, but time is not our friend, as we have to pave way for other programs. But join us again. It's from Monday to Saturday, 10 a.m. is the time. And of course, evenings as well, 5:30 weekdays, 5:30 p.m. weekdays, where we talk about football and all of the sports of concern. My name is Martia Umar. I'll see you again another time.